Good morning. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Springing Forth. Welcome to Springing Forth. We wanted to stop by today and just give a few shout outs and accolades and honor a few people. And then we want to drop just a few principles, a few nuggets that hopefully maybe it can help a couple of you to just push forward, keep moving forward, continue to strive. And we are praying that you will reach that expected end, which is your purpose, your destiny, things of that nature. So, again, welcome to Springing Forth. Springing Forth, what does that mean? Erica, why did you name this segment, this coaching segment, Springing Forth? So, Springing Forth, I talked a little bit about that on last week, but Springing Forth, it actually came from a scripture out of uh, out of the Bible that I reference, and when I saw that, it just stuck with me. So springing forth means that something is sprouting up. Something is no longer in a budding stage, but now it is ready to form, fully form. It is ready to grow.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, that is. I love the analogy of springing forth because just like with a plant or anything that's a farmer that's growing a farm. They have to cultivate the land. Things have to be prepared in order for that seed to come forth, to bud forth, to manifest, or to move in its purpose, to bring forth what it was called to do. Its grounds have to be cultivated, have to be prepared, so that that seed can grow with the least amount of hindrance as possible. And that's just how life is. We've been sent here, and it's important that as managers of our lives that we manage it in such a way that we strip those things up off of us that could hinder us or that could stop us from moving forward, that we become wise, that we seek out wise counsel, that we exercise wisdom so that we can do and have everything that God says we can have.
So true, so true. And once again, welcome to Springing Forth. I am your host, Coach Erica Richardson. And along by my side today is my awesome, awesome husband, Coach Mark Richardson. So, again, welcome to Springing Forth. This is where we want you to come outside of the box. We want you to grow quickly, with, of course, some directions and tools and tips for your life. We want you to realize that it is time for you to move from that stuck, stale place, from that stale mindset that is causing you to be that gerbil on a wheel, causing you to run into brick walls, causing you to be stagnated. We want you to move forth from that stagnated place, that stagnated mindset, because how many of you know that it begins in our mind? We have to be willing to transform our mindset in order to come out of what we are in, which is very, very challenging, very challenging. Well, how do you know, Coach Erica? Because it was challenging for me. I am a living testimony that change is very, very difficult, especially because a lot of us, we don't want to let go of certain environments. We don't want to let go of certain people. We don't want to make certain sacrifices. We operate in fear, doubt. We have negative voices coming at us sometimes, depending on whoever you are around, whomever you planted yourself around. You told some of your dreams and your visions to some of the people in your circle, and after you told them, you felt like you should have kept your mouth closed. Well, that's why I'm here today, springing forth. I am here to push you immediately out of that negative environment, out of that negative mindset, so that your life can begin, can fully begin. You can fully rotate into the things that you have dreamed about. Now, just to recap from last week, some of you may not have came on last week, but last week we talked about a couple of things. Just want to recap really quick, and then we'll move forward. But before we get into that, let me give a shout out to Mother's Day today. Happy Mother's Day to all of you that are mothers, regardless of the situation, regardless of mistakes, regardless of your past. Some of you, excuse me, struggle. I talk to mothers all the time that confess and still struggle with a lot of the mistakes that they made. Well, I come to tell you today, congratulations for being a mother. I am so sure, very sure, that being a mom is very, very challenging. Although I do not have birth children of my own, however, I have had the blessed opportunity to mother many. I'm a foster parent. I've worked in a group home for some time. I've been a spiritual mom to different ones. I've been a coach. I played a parenting role to a few people. So just from that little bit of experience that I have, and I say little bit because you all that are mothers that have given birth, your children are there with you 24/7. So your job is 24/7 for the rest of their lives. And I commend you. I salute you on today. I thank God for each and every mother. Those of you, once again, that beat yourself up because of the mistakes you made with your children. I encourage you today to not dwell on that. Don't dwell on the things of old, but look forward to a fresh life, a fresh relationship with your children. I thank God for my mom. My mother, that God rest her soul, passed away when I was 17, but shout out to her. I thank God for my mother that birthed me into this earth. I'm so grateful for my grandmother, First Lady Maddie Carter. God rest her soul, lived until she was 95. She raised me, her and my grandfather. I'm so grateful for her for taking on that role, taking on that responsibility. I want to give a shout out to the foster parents, bonus moms, such as myself, stepmothers, such as myself, godmothers. We thank God for anyone that have stepped up to play that role. That is not an easy role. We do not want to take that lightly. So once again, happy Mother's Day to each and every one of you, and may God continue to reign upon your field. May you continue to be blessed with the things that you have prayed for, dreamed about. So I just speak that over your life on today.
Amen, amen. Listen, and I want to take this moment even myself to salute all the mothers, all the bonus moms, as my wife stated, uh, all the aunts, and anybody who's been walking in that under that grace of a mother to be able to nurture, to build, to encourage, to strengthen children, whether they were yours biologically, whether they're yours just by one of your extended family members. Maybe it's the child next door. Maybe it's someone up the street. Maybe it's to the children of a friend of yours. You may have been in a godmother role, or just being in position to be able to sow into the life of people, not just children, but even adults. And I salute my mother on today, who is deceased, but I am a byproduct of what she has poured into me, and what I'm able to pour into others is also a byproduct of what she put in, that she stirred up down on the inside of me. She edified me much, exhorted me much, brought me comfort in many situations in my childhood and even during uh, the first stages of my adult life while I had her here with me. And so I salute my mother, and I just believe that lives are steady being changed because of her commitment and because of the things that she has done, that she did while she was in the earth. I salute my grandmother, who was an awesome woman of God, who took on the position of a grandmother and really nurtured and strengthened not just me, but even several of my cousins and people in the neighborhood. She was always that voice. She was always in the position to be both seen and heard. So I salute them on today, and I salute every mother who's tuned into the broadcast on today. God bless you, and thank you so much for tuning in on today.
Awesome, awesome. So now that we have that out to way, just a little recap from last week. We talked about transitioning, and what just a few things we made mention about last week was toxic culture, low morale. We touched on that, unable to decide what specific role and direction that you should pursue. Low motivation, low self confidence, humility, understanding. Those are some of the things that we touched on last week. So I just kind of wanted you all to put that back into your memory bank as we continue on with the segment. Again, this is Springing Forth with Coach Erica Richardson and Coach Mark Richardson. Now, today's segment, we're going to be talking about the law of practice. The law of practice. This is something that is very challenging as well. Honey, why do you think that it's so hard for us to put things into practice?
Well, one of the reasons, is, it's a couple of reasons. One thing I would say is a lot of times we don't, and you may mention this last week,
Mm-hmm.
About how knowing exactly what you want, knowing exactly what the goal is, and remaining fixed on that, knowing exactly, what direction you're headed in, not being too broad with it, but hone in, scope in right on that bullseye as far as where you want to go and what you are looking to do. The other thing I was going to say is that a lot of times we lack discipline. We lack discipline. We get distracted by so much. We get distracted. It's like every shiny object that comes along is so tempting to turn and chase, pursue, or to play with, which ends up getting us off track from what it is where we're trying to go. And so, it's the repetition breeds manifestation.
Mm.
So we have to understand that in order to conquer repetition, that we have to be honed in. We got to be focused, as you eloquently mentioned last week, remaining focused so that repetition can be in place. We can't. You're not going to be able to operate repetitiously if you're distracted by everything that comes across your pathway, anything that walks past, anything that catches your ear, every tap on the shoulder. You have to like hone in. I'm talking about like a pit bull launching, clamp down and don't let go in order for practice, excuse me, to be active in your life.
This is true. And that brings me to my first point. And if you all have pen and paper or pads or journaling or whatever you would have to do, this would be a good time. So, number one, I want to talk about clarity. Clarity, because we're dealing with the law of practice. So, in order for me to practice something, I need clarity on whatever it is that I'm supposed to be doing. Now, in order to gain clarity, you cannot gain clarity by yourself. You cannot gain clarity standing on an island by yourself. You need counseling, good counseling. You need good mentorship. And remember, those of you that watched the last segment, these things are going to, well, let me say this, should be happening for the rest of your life, for every level that you go to, every phase that you go to, every dimension that you go to. You need sound counsel, guidance from someone. No one, not one person came out of their mother's womb knowing everything. You have to be taught and trained. And the problem is that you have a lot of people that have minimal training when it comes to life, and that's okay. I had to get bits and pieces. Remember earlier on, I stated that I was raised by my grandparents. So my grandparents came from a totally different era than I did, quite naturally, a totally different era than my mom did. So therefore, they could not teach me everything. A person can only give you, can, let me put it this way, a person can only take you as far as the information that they have. And a lot of time we get upset with folks because we feel like we should be grabbing something from them, or I need something from this person. I need love, I need affection, I need attention, I need this, I need that. And it's really unfair to not understand that sometimes people cannot show you or teach you certain things because they don't possess the knowledge themselves. A person cannot properly love you because they don't know what love is. Most of the time, a lot of us, if we would be brutally honest, we grow up filtering our lives out. We grow up searching for certain things because we were not taught, we were not trained, we did not have that experience. If you did not have a true experience of love, then how in the world would you even know how to reciprocate that? You cannot reciprocate something that you do not have a clue about. So that's what this is about. Springing forth is about also sprouting up information, sprouting up knowledge so that we can go just a little bit further. So, nevertheless, clarity. We talked about how you need wise counsel in order to gain clarity. We also, I mentioned certain books that you need to read, excuse me, for clarity. Whatever it is that you're trying to pursue in life, you're going to have to go after it like a hound dog going after meat. Now, what do I mean by that? You have to hone in, tune into whatever it is that that you're trying to accomplish. So, for example, I knew that I wanted to coach people. I knew that I wanted to teach because this is something that I had been doing ever since I was younger. It started out with me always being there for people, always. And I enjoyed doing that. That was not a burden for me because I love people. Now, what I had to do was carrying this love for people. I had to learn how to use it in a productive way. And until I learned how to use it, I was constantly running around in circles. I was getting hurt. I didn't know. I thought that that I was supposed to be treated a certain way and things of that nature. I felt like, okay, if I'm being there for them, then they should be there for me, which is some instances that is true. Reciprocity is very, very prevalent in the earth. However, I was not aware that that was a gift that I have, that I have the gift of love. I have a talent where I can draw people and I can help folks and help them do this and help them do that. So what I started doing after many, many years of challenges, I began to read about certain things. I started reading about human services, social work, coaching, things of that nature. And I honed in on that. I wasn't all over the place. At one time I was, but then I had to realize in order for me to gain clarity, I have to stick to whatever it is that I feel or that I can see that I'm chosen to do. So I want to share that with you all. You have to invest in yourself. If you do not invest in yourself, then Nine times out of 10, you will not accomplish the things that you are wanting to do. So you have to be able to distinguishly see the proper direction so that you can gain clarity. And you have to connect. You have to connect with others. You have to be taught. You have to be willing to be taught. If you're saying that you want to be taught and trained, you cannot run over the teacher. If the teacher is trying to teach you something, for example, I'm in college. When I'm in class, I don't talk over the teacher. I don't run over the teacher, over the professor. I sit, I learn, and I take notes. And that's something that some of you all are going to have to learn how to do. You're going to have to practice your listening skills. That's another thing. In order to gain the information that you need, you're going to have to practice your listening skills. You're going to have to focus on whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish. Now, another example I would like to use as far as gaining clarity. I remember I went to a comportment training class in Chicago, Illinois. The class was taught by a Muslim, number one. His name was, I think it was Minister Michael. His name was Minister Michael. That was his name, Minister Michael Muhammad. And Minister Muhammad, you already know, a lot of us, we shun people if we find out they belong to different religions. Now, Minister Muhammad asked a question, posed a question to the entire class. He said that if you went to a conference and the speaker, the keynote speaker, gave you 10% of the information that you needed, but 90% you could not use. You totally disagree with 90% of the information that was being given out, but 10%, excuse me, 10% of that information, you know very well that you could use it. Would you turn a deaf ear because that person is of a different race, a different culturistic background, a different religion? Or would you simply sit there and eat the fish and spit out the bones? What do I mean by that? That was a good question that Minister Muhammad posed. Now, the reason why he asked that question is because it's hard for a lot of us to focus. Now, a lot of time what we will do is, instead of taking that information, because we disagree with someone on certain matters, we will turn a deaf ear. When you were not sent there, see, that's another thing. Pay attention to why you are there. Why are you connected with this person? Are you connected with this person to be judgmental? Or are you connected with this person to get the necessary information that you need, respect that person for who they are and where they are, gain the information that you need, and simply go on about your business? And see, that's the thing that I want to share with you all. The reason why a lot of us cannot learn, cannot really get the clarity that we need, is because we're looking at the wrong thing. I want you all to understand that if you do not stop looking at the wrong thing and pay attention to why you are sent, why you are connected with the individual, get what you need, respect that individual, and move on with your life. You have to learn how to do that.
Yeah,
Larry.
Just to ride right in on what you were saying. I think that a lot of times we have a hard time seeing through the smoke. We don't really clarity is not something that we seek out. In many cases, we're not seeking clarity. We don't, if something's fuzzy to you, something you're not sure of, you should always seek clarity. It's like being in a class. A lot of time, I remember when I was in college, I was I was reminded by a professor one time, because when I first got there, and I would be in class, and there was a time period where I wouldn't ask many questions. I was keen to listening, but if I didn't understand, I didn't raise my hand and say, "Hey, could you repeat that? Hey, could you say it again?" Or I missed that point, or I don't understand. And one of my professors had pulled me to the side, was like, I feel like you sometimes you want to ask something, but you're not asking me. And if you open up and ask more questions, you can watch how it's going to affect your grade. So once I begin to open up and really begin to seek clarity, and really, I remember he said the only dumb question is the one that you don't ask, and that was the truth. And so once I started asking questions, I began to get better clarity. Then I began to get better results in the class, because I was getting clarity and getting positioning myself. And the thing about it is, once you move in clarity and you begin to position yourself, the one thing that if you're not careful, you have to remain have a teachable spirit at all times.
Right.
You cannot. You're not going to get clarity. You're not going to get understanding. You're not going to get good direction. You're not going to know the direction you're moving in if you don't remain teachable. If you're not a person that seeks out wisdom, seeks out counsel, seeks out understanding. You don't have to be ashamed of anything, where you are or where you're going. It's not about how you feel. It's about getting clarity. Something about when you get clarity on what it is that you're doing, or where you're going, or how you're supposed to position yourself in order to achieve a certain thing. It literally gives you a realm of self-empowerment. You feel empowered when you have clarity. It's like you feel empowered when you get information that you can understand. So you can get information and not really understand it. But once you understand the information you have, boom, empowerment comes upon you. You literally feel empowered. It's like you can't keep quiet. If there's an opportunity for you to speak on a matter that you know about, then you move with great confidence. This is why we have to remain teachable. We have to not be afraid to ask questions, to get clarity, and be a seeker of knowledge and wisdom. We have to do that so that clarity can literally begin to manifest in the direction that you're moving in.
Very true. Very true. So, again, if you all have your pen and journals and paper, so clarity helps you find focus and direction. Clarity makes it easier to get things done so that you're not overthinking things. Clarity makes it easier to prioritize. Clarity helps you to push and see through doubt. Clarity helps you to feel content. So we gave you quite a few nuggets there in reference to clarity. So it's very, very important that we have this clarity. So number 2, investigate. Investigate your life. That's what number 2 is. Number 2 is you need to start investigating your life. How many of you know we've spent years poking around in some of us, not all, but some of us have spent years poking around in other folks' business, trying to do what other people are doing. We become mimickers of another person's vision. I see it all the time. You have people that will take your vision and put it on themselves. And that's something that we do not want to do, because you're operating fictitiously. So we want to, again, gain clarity so you will know exactly what it is that you should be doing. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of us will have similarity, because as we well know, nothing new is under the sun. But you should not take someone's vision and mimic their entire vision. So you want to start investigating your own life. Write down your life. Write down the steps that you need to take in order to get where you need to be. Allow your creative self to come out. You have your own creativity. You were born with your very own creativity. Now, don't get me wrong. I do have different teachers that have been in my life, and there are traits there, but I am not sitting around mimicking their vision. So don't get me wrong. Once again, you will pick up different things from different people. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But once again, you don't want to become them. Try to become that person, because you never know what a person has gone through in order to get or gain the information and knowledge that they have. Those people, such as myself, us, we have put in a lot of sweat and time. We've been through a lot of pain and hurt and agony. And not to say that you have not, but I'm trying to teach you how to birth out your own without totally mimicking someone else's vision. So the other thing, in reference to investigating yourself, you want to start your journey of correcting yourself. Start the journey of, how do I see myself? This is what investigating is all about. How you view yourself has to change. I want you to write down how you view yourself now, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You have to be brutally honest with yourselves if you are going to change. The first thing I had to do when I realized that I didn't like some of the things that I was doing, I was a procrastinator. It wasn't that I wasn't capable. It was not that I was not capable of doing things. The procrastination came from many different things, from low self-esteem, disbelief. It was all about what I thought of myself. And then once again, it doesn't help when you are and come from a toxic environment, toxic culture. So you see the layers that have to come off. There are layers that have to come off. And I'm going to tell you this, once you start investigating yourself, you become so consumed with yourself until you could care less about what other people are doing. See, this is how I know that you're not, when people ask me to coach them or they come to me for advice, I have a lot of people that do that. Now I listen. I see where that person is, and I can listen, and I can tell if you started investigating yourself. You see, when people knew the moment that I began to investigate myself, you know why? Because I stopped pointing the finger. I stopped bringing up what other people said to me, what they did to me. I left that alone. Now, the only time I talk about those things is for testimonial purposes or to help someone else overcome their situation. But the moment you stop bringing up what other folks did, you stop bringing up the past, that is a sign that you have begun the process of investigating yourself, investigating your own trauma and drama. And that's what we need to do. Focus on investigating your own decisions, your own rebelliousness, your own mistakes. Write that down, regardless of what it is, how hard it is. And then after you write that down and you look at that, and then next to it, what are you going to do to come out of it? What are the necessary steps that you're going to do? I could not believe that in 6 months, I wrote a book. Once I made up in my mind to investigate myself and realize that all of these things were hindering me, and how do I come out of it? How do I come out? Because focusing on the problem is never a part of the total part of the solution. Don't get me wrong, because in order to solve, we have to look at where things derive from. We have to deal with that. And so in 6 months, after I began to realize that my life was a mess, in 6 months, I got my education, right? And I went to college. They told me that I would not be able to get in a college right away, a university right away, that I would have to go to a community college. But everything that I was told, the opposite happened. I could not believe that I was accepted into 3 universities, a woman that had no education, but finally decided to buckle down and gain her education. In 6 months, I'm walking around on a university campus, and not only that, also wrote my first book. My failures are not final, which is on Amazon. Failures are not final, right? So whatever we failed at, failures are just stepping stones to greatness. A lot of people have not stepped out to do certain things because they fear failing. But failing is a part of life. But because, excuse me, we did not have that clarity, as we talked about in number one, because we do not have clarity, we get so angry and depressed when we fail at something. If someone had taught us how to fail, how failure can be beneficial. See, it's all about your mindset. Once again, failures are nothing but stepping stones to greatness, because what can you do about it? If you failed at something or missed out on something or you made mistakes or this and that, what in the world can you do about it? Nothing but learn from it and keep going. So that's where we are today. We're talking about becoming investigators of your own life, putting it into practice so that you can change.
Yeah, that's very important. You mentioned, you talked about investigating yourself and addressing procrastination and identifying, identifying what's toxic in your life. Those are things that are extremely important. We can't move forward in life if we don't identify our hindrances. Being able to look yourself in the mirror, that's something that's extremely powerful. It's extremely powerful, and I want to challenge anybody that's listening today to go through the exercise of sitting down in front of a mirror and looking at yourself in the eyes and really begin to identify yourself. You really begin to look at yourself and say, hey, you know what? No matter what it is, just be truthful about it. If you're an habitual liar, then look at yourself in the face and tell yourself that I practice lying very frequently. I lie a lot. Say that to yourself. Watch how powerful, watch how convicting it is to you. So if you're a cheater, if you're a person that cheats people, look at yourself in the mirror and say, I practice cheating very frequently. I cheat people out of a lot of things. I build a false image of who I am. I walk in false humility. Begin to point those things out about you that you know are toxic and are not beneficial for advancing you in life. You can't. These are not things you can't slip around. You can't slide around. You can't just put it in your back pocket and hopes that it goes away. No, because those things will hinder you. Those are things that are like dead weights. We all have something or things that we have to contend with, things that we have to deal with in our lives. It's certain things that, listen, you don't even need anybody to point out about you. You already know these things about you that can hinder you, that have been slowing you down, no matter what it is. But you first have to start. You got to be truthful to yourself. You have to be truthful to yourself. You have to do like Coach Erica said, investigate yourself. You have to address those areas where you procrastinate, address them. I have to do that in my own life. I have to, like, in my psyche, strengthen my mind in certain areas of my life where I know that certain things will hinder me, or they're hindering me from advancing. I have to address, I have to relay a foundation, even in my subconscious mind. I have to relay a foundation that says that I am successful. I am this. I am that. The positive things. And then I'll also have to bust up the foundation. Now understand, in order to break up a foundation, you have to know that foundation is bad. There's certain things on the inside of us certain foundations we have to identify that are not right, that are rocky, that are slanted, that are full of holes, and things that need to be addressed. We have to address the rocky foundations in our life, the places where there's holes, where there's bumps, where things are not smooth, where there are things that we know that we need to work on. We have to identify those things. We have to identify those things because they will literally slow you down. They will stop your progression. They will hinder your relationships. Certain relationships won't be able to flourish, won't be able to come into the fullness of what they've been called to come into, because we don't want to address who we really are. Don't want to address the negative things in our life that have been that we've kind of normalized. You realize that a lot of times we seem functional to people because we pretty much in our psyche we've normalized the way that we are. Saying, in other words, you say it's okay. This is just how I am. I was coaching someone before, and the person was like, "Well, this is just how I am. This is just how I am. I'm just like this. Is just who I am. I don't have to change for nobody. I don't have to do anything." But and when I said it, I'm gonna say, that's fine. That's your decision. That's your decision. But I guarantee you, 12 months from now, you're gonna be in the same place that you are right now, complaining about, because you don't want to address the real you. You don't want to address the real you. You're not going to be able to progress. You're walking in a paradigm that you fixed, and you're only going to get the outcome according to what you have fixed in that paradigm. Until you're able to, but you're steady dreaming about another paradigm that cannot take those things that you've accepted that aren't right. The new paradigm that you're looking to walk into, those things don't exist there. They can't live there. So you can't take them with you there. You first got to let go, and you have to identify those things that are hindering you so you can step into that new paradigm and really begin to flourish. Really begin to flourish, and it really takes some self investigation.
Right, and humility too.
Yes, it does.
It takes humility. So one of the once again, the greatest adventure of your life is self-discovery. Discovering who you really are, discovering who we really are. This is once again, one of the greatest discoveries in your life, one of the greatest epiphanies. So you want to listen to, oh, I apologize. What I want to point out is to stop listening. Well, actually, you want to know and listen to your inner critic. However, you want to be careful with your inner critic. See, the inner critic can be used in different ways. I'm not talking about being overly critical. Some of us overthink things and we're overly critical, and that comes from different things. Now, the only way that you will be able to start effectively listening to your inner critic is after you've gained clarity, after you fully investigated yourself, after you started making the necessary changes, and you understand certain things, how things work, how things evolve. You have comprehension. Your comprehension has kicked in. Now, until all of that kicks in, you won't be able to use your inner critic in a positive. Right now, your inner critic is moving in a negative. Now, why do you say that, Coach Erica? Because practically everything comes out of your mouth is negative. Sometimes we explode for no reason. We can't get past what people said to us, what they did to us. We are unforgiving. We don't want to face certain things that people have shared with us, things of that nature. That's when you are allowing your inner critic to operate in a negative, because once you become this positive individual, you start moving and operating in positivity. You know how to allow that inner critic to correct you. That inner critic will start working for you in a positive way. Why? Because you fed it. You're feeding it with clarity. You're feeding it with understanding, knowledge and understanding. Now, I know when I hear that critical voice, that inner critic voice, it doesn't come to tear me down, but it comes to correct me. It comes to correct you. But remember, you can only use that inner critic voice in a positive after you've taken the necessary steps to understand how things rotate. So moving on to number 3. The law of practice, the big one, which is why we're here today. We talked about different steps, how to gain clarity, how to investigate ourselves, the benefit of investigating yourself, the benefit of clarity. Now we want to talk about the benefit of the law of practice. So I'll start out by saying that, excuse me, practice, when you put things into practice, a lot of times, uh, people, we don't know how to put things into practice. We are good at quoting things, good at reading, good at telling other people what to do. But how many of you know that once you put that thing into practice, meaning, as we tell people, practice what you preach. We love to throw that up in folks' face. We don't leave room for mistakes, room for people to make error. We are so quick to badger and beat people up. But nevertheless, you want to begin to allow people to see that light on your life. For example, if I'm going berserk on people, in other words, if I'm cussing folks out every day, going crazy, every time someone says something to me, I'm popping off. But yet I'm telling other people how they need to be meek and kind and gentle and all these sayings that I have. Okay, that's not putting it into practice. I'm not using the law of practice. So, how do I start operating and moving in the law of practice? You have to create joy. You have to create being quiet. You have to create love. So, how do I put things into practice? If you're saying that you're not experiencing being loved, then you need to become love. You're not experiencing joy, then you need to become joy. Because whatever you are, you draw that to you. If you have low self esteem on a regular, everyone gets down every now and again because we're human. Allow people to be human. I'm talking about on a consistent, for years, you've been this way. You can't come out of low self esteem. So, in order for you to come out of that miserable state of mind, you have to start creating joy. Meaning, how do I create joy, Erica? I have to watch my environment. Stop hanging around people that have low self-esteem. They are miserable, and misery loves company. Like I said before, some people, after you get off the phone with them, you felt worse than you did before you picked up that phone. So keep in mind, you have to create your environment, and you have a right to do that by any means necessary. A lot of people are not going to like some of the changes that you make, but guess what? It's for your sanity, for your good, your well being. You have to learn how to tune people out. Yes. Because people, some, not all, this is for some, once again. Some people will only love you as far as they can use you. I'm going to say that again. Some people will only love you as much as they can use you. And when they're done using you and squeezing everything out of you, they wash their hands of you. So this is why it's so important that you create boundaries for your life, create joy, love, peace, discipline, all of those things. When you've accepted certain mistakes that you've made, and I'm sharing this with you because I've already been there. See, I could talk about it because I've accomplished this. I've dug myself out of hole after hole after hole. So I had to do away with a lot of foolishness that I had grabbed a hold of. I picked up a lot of bad habits, learned behaviors from hanging around certain individuals. So I had to create a whole new life for myself, a life where I could be happy, a life where I could have joy. And then guess what? I get to pick and choose who I want in my atmosphere on a continual basis. I had to pick and choose who I want around me on a consistent basis. I don't want a chaotic environment. I don't want people. I had to realize I don't want people around me that's constantly bringing up my past because I no longer live there. So when people come around you and they're constantly bringing up your past, don't get upset with them. All they're doing is showing you that they don't belong in your present or your future. Period. That's what you have to start doing. You have to start creating a whole new life, a whole new environment that you can be satisfied with, that you can rotate in, flow in, grow, nourish, a nourishing environment. Because what is good about constantly bringing up somebody's past? What good can come out of that? Because I had a good conversation earlier with a friend of mine, sort of like a brother. And as I shared with him earlier on, that when you are constantly bringing up someone's past, the only thing that you are doing is keeping the manifestation of evil present. That's what you're doing. You're manifesting evil, provoking an evil spirit to be present on a consistent basis. If you are a person that is constantly doing that, constantly bringing up someone's past, you're not doing it in a way where you can resolve things, but you're doing it to be sarcastic and to be hurtful. So we want to be careful with that, especially when you've been absent. If you've been absent from a person's life for a very long time, people move on. People do change. And how can we say that people don't change, but you're saying that you can change? Don't you think that that's contradictory? So we want to be mindful of that. When you've been absent from a person's life for a very long time, you want to come back humble, come back quiet and meek, see what's going on. You don't come back attacking folks. You'll never get anything done that way. That's not the way to get things done. So you want to practice being calm, practice having joy, practice loving yourself. Find out what true love is. Some of us think that we know what love is, but we really don't. We really don't. There's different ways to love people, and that's okay. Although I love people, guess what? I still had to learn. I still had to learn. This is a journey of learning, and it's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with going on a journey to learn about yourself. And then once you learn about yourself, it'll be easy for you to learn about others. So nevertheless, we're talking about the last point here, law of practice. Honey, did you have anything?
Well, I mean, that was so good. Everything that you mentioned, and those things are key. In those things are the difference between striving and thriving. It's everybody goes through seasons of striving, and the difference between the striving and thriving is resistance. So when you're in a striving mode, if you're consistently striving, eventually you should be breaking through the thriving, where there's no resistance, where things are just flowing for you, where things are easier for you. However, when you're in striving mode, yes, there is resistance, but I realize that a lot of the resistance is in our own selves. It's us, and that's what we're dealing with on today. Is that you're going to have to deal with you. You're going to have to again, just to reiterate, break off that toxicity in your life. You're going to have to really be true. You're going to have to be raw with yourself. You're really going to have to peel off some layers. Things as you're in striving mode, before you break through the thriving, certain layers should be falling off of your life, certain layers. And layers can be people, layers can be bad concepts, a bad ideology for certain things in your life. The way you're thinking, things have to be adjusted. There should always be a place where you're constantly calibrating your thoughts, calibrating your mind, calibrating how you're functioning, how you're moving, and as you're striving, the more you are striving, because understand that when you're striving, it's not that you quit and accept. You're moving forward, but there's weights that you're carrying, but over time, those weights should be falling up off of you because you are consistent. You're consistent and you've gained momentum going against those things that are holding you back, and you break through to thrive in mode. And all of us are designed to thrive in life. It's never God's intentions to make us continuous like strivers all the time. I'm constantly striving. I'm tired. I want to throw in the towel. Excuse me. But God wants us to thrive. But the way that we're going to thrive is we're going to have to identify. We're going to have to identify those things that are holding us back, identify those weights so that we can move into that thriving mode.
Yes, that is really, really good. Thriving. And again, that's what Springing Forth is about. It is about thriving. A lot of us have been stuck for so long, so long. And I know how it feels to, okay, 5 years go by, you've set these goals for yourself and benchmarks, and you're like, okay, I didn't make it to this. And then another 5 years go by, and you're like, okay, I'll give myself another 2 years or 3 years to accomplish this. So, nevertheless, it's okay. And I say it's okay because you can always, as long as you have breath in your body, always remember this, you can still make those accomplishments. All you have to do is step back, look at your steps. Once again, investigate your movements, investigate yourself, and then go from there. Go from there. Learn how to look at patterns in your life. And when you look at those patterns, look at the patterns in your life, the things that you're doing. I think, honey, what do they say lunacy is? Doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Mm-hmm. That's the definition of lunacy. When we are doing the same thing over and over and over, and we are expecting different results without making any changes. That's lunacy. That's the definition of lunacy. So we want to move away from that zone, move away from of those ugly practices, move away from that stale mindset so that our lives can begin to flourish. We want to create a prosperous environment so that the things that we hope for, pray for, can manifest. Okay, so that's pretty much it. We gave 3 good pointers today. Number 1, we talked about how to gain clarity, why clarity is so important. Number 2, we talked about how to start investigating your own life and how we're going to focus much more on what we have going on and how we don't have time to investigate someone else's life right now. Number 3, the law of practice. We're going to start putting things into practice. We're going to start creating better environments for ourselves by any means necessary. The only time that you will find yourself sheltering yourself, let me speak for me. The reason why I sheltered myself is because of toxic environments, toxic people that I was connected to. Their situation was toxic. So toxic plus toxic equals what? Toxic. So let's use our common sense. Let's use common sense because, as my mentor say, well, Erica, common isn't always common, which that's true. So we want to activate that. Sometimes our common senses are not always activated. And I say we because I'm guilty of that. But nevertheless, it does not matter where you came from. What matters is where you're going, right? A lot of us come from environments that we were not happy with. When we look back over our lives, we say, oh my God, what did I do? What in the world was I thinking about? I know I do. Some of the things I look back over my life that I got myself into, I sacrificed my safety in order to make other people happy. I sacrificed my life. I sacrificed certain things in my life in order to be there for other people that I should not have. The things that I was doing was detrimental. And I heard someone say that a wise man said something so profound. He said, if helping you is hurting me, something has to give. And that was the pattern of my life. I'm no longer pointing the finger at other people, because guess what? When you point that one finger, three are pointing back at you. I had to come to realize, yes, people do things. Yes, people use folks to their advantage. And I used to say back in the day, if you see a sucker, you're going to do what? Lick it. If you see a sucker, you're going to lick it. I put myself in those predicaments. I was the one that yielded to the foolishness, yielded to the drama. But guess what? Today is a new day. And I have decided a long time ago that I'm hanging up my shoes of foolishness, right? I chose to change. Chose to turn. I chose to put into practice the things that I was learning. I made the decision, a sound decision, to start putting it into practice. And I'm still on that journey. I'm still on the journey of change. But the things that I have mastered, I'm going to teach others, because such is myself. Rather than sitting back pointing the finger at other people and having sidebar conversations, rather than being a part of the problem, I decided to be a part of the solution. So I encourage you all today, those of you that had a good life, maybe you came from a home such as my husband. In psychology, we call his home the somewhat functional home. And the reason why they call it somewhat is because they're not saying that these type of environments do not have problems. They are just not overwhelming to the point where the home is no longer a creative place of joy. It's no longer a functional place of growth and development. See, the moment your home is stunted when it comes to growth and development for whomever is under your tutelage, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. So I thank God for my husband's upbringing. I thank God for his life, because it brings me balance. You need people around you that can balance your life. So, honey, did you have anything else?
No, this has been a great broadcast on today. Um, and I was blessed by the tremendous counsel that came forth on today. And I likewise just thank God for my wife, because she helps me identify those areas where I'm rough around the edges, where I need to be smoothed out. And I am just extremely grateful for her, who she is and who she has become. And I'm telling you, if people, if all of us, when we come in the presence of someone that we know that can make us better or can smooth out some rough edges, it is wise to submit to their counsel concerning those areas of your life that you're able to see the ability in them to help you smooth it out. It's wise to submit to their counsel. And so that's how I want to leave you guys on today, to be wise in your submission, who you submit to. Actively seek out and find what it is that those individuals or that person can help you in. Where can this person smooth me out in, and then submit yourself up under the counsel from that person in that particular area of your life, and you will continue to advance. And my prayer for everyone is that you move from striving to thriving in your personal life.
Yes. Yes, so good, honey, so good. Yeah, and not only do I encourage you, but you also keep me encouraged as well. My husband, lets me know when I'm wrong. And the thing that I love about him is that he's such a man of grace. He's such a man, a humble man, and he knows how to correct without making you feel like you are beneath his shoe, like you're at the bottom of his shoe or the scum of the earth. So that's very important too, that when we are bringing correction, you want to be mindful of how you speak to people. How it's not what we say, it's how we do it. You can draw more flies with honey, or is it
No,
bees?
more bees.
More bees with honey. We don't want to draw flies, but we could draw more bees with honey. So we want to be mindful. Let your words be few and seasoned with grace. Seasoned with grace. That just means that you want to be very careful pertaining to the way that we handle people, the way that we talk to people, right? We want to be very, very, very mindful of that, because remember, I stated earlier on that if you are a person that snap on a continual basis, then you want to start creating a better environment, creating a better way of communicating. So it's up to you to investigate how to do those things. How do I allow those things to come into fruition? You have to investigate yourself, right? So, nevertheless, thank you so much for tuning in to Springing Forth, where we are sprouting up, we're sprouting out, we're moving expeditiously into the things that we have dreamed of, the things that we've been pondering on, procrastinating on. We are no longer procrastinators. We are movers and shakers and curse breakers. We are breaking the curse up off of us. We will no longer be labeled in a negative way. No longer be labeled. So anyway, I want to say again, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. If you would like to be a blessing today, if something that maybe I've said helped you just a little bit, maybe brought a little bit of clarity, maybe inspired you, feel free to go to $ coach me now. Cash App, $ coach me now. And I will put that in. I think I'll have my husband to put that up.
Yeah.
Put that up for us so that you all can see that. But inbox me if you have any questions. Once again, I am a goal purpose life coach. What does that mean? That means that I deal with people that, for example, I have some people say, Erica, I want to start a business, but I don't know how to file the paperwork. I'm fearful. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I'm the first business owner in my family. I just don't know what to do. I'm confused. That's where I come in at. I can teach you. I can tell you the necessary steps. Some things is about just telling you where to go get things done. So there are certain things that I can do that I've mastered. And the other thing we do, once again, is to empower you, encourage you. We know what it's like for people not to believe in us, for people to laugh, mock us, speaking negativity over our lives, say one thing in our presence and then leave our presence and manifesting negative words. And that's okay. That's okay. And I say that today because people that do that, they are not the be all and know all. They are not the be all and know all. You stay focused and you keep moving, because once again, we decided to be a part of what? The solution. Those are problem makers, troublemakers. We don't want to be problem makers and troublemakers. We want to be solution solvers, things of that nature. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in with Coach Erica Richardson and Coach Mark Richardson here at Springing Forth. So Be blessed for the rest of the week. Enjoy yourself. Create that joy. Create that love. Create the atmosphere that you want, because you have a right to have the type of life that you can enjoy, the life that your children can enjoy, and so on and so on. Did you have anything else?
No, hey.
All righty. So have a great week. Bye bye.